Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tea Time with Kitty. Um, Waiting for my viewers to join in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining in with me today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Definitely want to say a happy birthday to two of my sisters. Hi, sis. And we're going to get started. Um, to my cousin Jessica and Jayla and Jaylin, whose birthday was yesterday. Okay, so Monte said he's my first supporter. Um, it's just with heavy heart. I just got some really sad news today. Hey cousin, hey Donna, some really sad news today. That it actually changed my topic for today. My topic today was supposed to be a two-part um series on caring for parents and things to expect and it was just a plethora of information that I had planned on sharing today. Hi, hey sister. But I just received a phone call today that one of my younger cousins in love lost her son. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. Of course, whenever it's pretty much something dealing with minors, I don't share names, as well as I don't have a lot of information as to what happened around it. I do know that he was coming from school, so that's going to be my angle that we're going to kind of talk about today. I won't hold you long. Because I definitely appreciate each and every time you all chime in. And my plans is to go and check on her and be there for and be here for her. I think my little cousin, 15, I don't even think he had his 16th birthday yesterday. So please keep his mom in prayer. So as you know, school is opening back up. So let's jump right in it so we can get out of it. We know school is opening back up. But the thing that I want parents to be aware of, I want you to really be aware of the fact, and this is not speaking to what, because as I stated before, I don't know all the details surrounding it, but I want parents to be very mindful that children are having all types of internet beef. If you have a child that's just on social media all day, if it ain't the computer, it's the phone, try to sneak up on them and see what's going on. Try to see what's going on. I know my son had an issue last year. School was not in, and it was even a whole big blowing out thing with him, and a counselor got involved that could have probably went in a different direction had school been open. So do not let your children, I mean, like if you have a child and they're under 18, and most of the time you're paying their cell phone bill, you're paying the internet bill in your house, do not let them monopolize social media. A lot is going on in social media. So do not let them monopolize that. Make sure you're being involved. You know, you have adults on there luring kids away. You have gangs luring children away. You have other children luring children away, like telling them to meet them at a certain spot and do. So don't think for 1 second that your child is innocent. No child gets a pass. Anybody on here that's an adult was once a child, and you know that with peer pressure and with your friends or your own little mind and insight, we think of doing a lot of things and saying a lot of things. So please make sure, even down to your little smaller children that's 6 and 7 years old, make sure you are involved with where they're going and what they're doing. Get involved. Know what they're doing. Know who their friends are. And parents, don't feel a certain type of way if, hey, sister, if you don't want your kids around certain people, because like I always could say, my kids could not go inside someone's house until I had a chance to go in it first to discern that spirit, like to get a feeling for what's going on in that house. So don't be letting your kids run with certain kids. If you know, and you, even with me being a teenage mom, don't have your young daughters around no teenage moms. Like, it doesn't mean that anybody can't have a child, because I had one. So it's not putting any judgment on them. But really, if that young girl has a child, what could she really be giving your daughter who is 13 or 14 and still have their innocence? What type of relationship do they really have from that? Another thing you have to look out, if you know, don't let your sons be hanging with little boys that's always in something, that's selling drugs. You know who they are. Don't be like, oh, they just kid. No, you have to protect your kids. And there's only certain things that we can do and so far that we can go to protect our children, but we at least have to attempt to protect them because we can't do it all. We definitely cannot do it all. So the other thing I want to say is have a conversation with your children surrounding what it looks like if they get in an altercation. So let's just say if your child is at school and, son or daughter, they get into an altercation with a child at a locker. What is the plan? Because we teach kids safety techniques, especially when they're younger and early on. Don't talk to strangers. If it's a fire, get out, save yourself. But what are we telling our kids about staying safe at school? It's very important with school opening back up that we have this conversation. Again, I don't know all the facts around his yet, but it happened at school or coming from school. So what are you talking? So if your child gets into an altercation with a child and it's 10 kids wanting to fight your child at 3 o'clock, do you have the type of child that's just going to come home and be like, if they don't touch me, I ain't going to touch them? Or do you have the type of child that will call? Because I always tell my kids, if somebody is threatening you any kind of way, I don't care if you're not taking them serious. I don't care. Let me know. Let me be the judge of that because I'm coming to the school. And I've even heard of situations where parents have went to the school to get their child, and not just her, but know of situations where it has been whole neighborhood battles. So meaning like when you go pick your child up, everybody get to fighting, mom and dad's involved, weapons been used. You really need to, if your child is having a situation at school, do not let your child walk home. Do not let your child get on the school bus. Do not let your child get on Metro. Try to pick your child up. Like if you have leave at work, that's an emergency. Go and get your child, because what happens is when a child is feeling a certain type of way, they're rammed up by their children. What's up, Christian? They're rammed up by other children. The other child they have the issue with is getting all hyped up from their friends, and it's a whole blown out situation under control. And the thing about it is you can't get your child's life back, and you have to realize, I know when the person just called me to tell me of my cousin's situation, they was like, what is going on with these kids? Well, you have to understand that animals are raising these children. Yeah, you get some kids that come from good homes and they have a little hiccups. I was one. But at the most part, a lot of these children are being raised by animals. You got parents that will give their child a weapon to use on your child. So if your child has any indication or any situation that something is going on at school, go pick your child up. And I would even encourage you to pick them up a little early if possible. Go get your child. Bring your child home from school. Your child, let them know that they don't have a point to prove to anyone. When you send your child out to school every day, you have no reason to believe that your child is not coming home. So to send your child to school and they not come home, that's devastating. Because it's so many unanswered questions. There's so many things you want to know. You don't know where to start at. So I am pleading with you. If you have a child, no matter how, I'm thinking as young as 5. I mean, I would say even younger because I always kept the communication door open. But if you have a child at least 5 years old, please, please, please have a conversation around them surrounding a safety plan. These children get into all types of things over the internet. It spills into the community. It spills into the schools, and children are getting hurt, and they are getting hurt. And the sad part about it is you have to realize that if your child is hurt by another child, chances are a child can take your child's life. And they can do only about 5 years. Hey, Nisi Poo, they can do only about 5 years in prison. So if your child is 14 and they're 14 and they take your 14-year-old child life, 19 to 21, that child is coming home, getting a new start at their own life, getting a chance to start over. And you don't have your child back. Let me get my lightning back 1 second. but your child is no longer here. So you have to really, pay attention to that and take that into consideration. So I want to hear from you all. If you have some techniques that you use or some things that you do to keep your child safe, I just want to open up the floor to really, really, really share some things because and I'm just gonna go. Some parents play dumb, like they don't know that they child bad. They sure do. Like you'll be amazed of how some situations is not a situation for parents with their kids. You can't tell them anything about it. Kids these days are different. They are so out of line now. They have no respect for no one. And I know my son was telling me how he was playing basketball and somebody came over to want to fight one of the boys on a basketball court. Like I just see how kids just walk all up and down the street just looking for some trouble. That's what I call like looking for some trouble. When my son went through his phase, and I felt like I couldn't control him, I had to make a decision to let him be somewhere. And this was at a young age. And I'm so thankful, not thankful that he had that experience, but I'm thankful that he was younger then and I was able to remove him from the streets. Because if you're a parent and you can't control your child, you have to do something. Like if you know that your child is barking up the wrong tree, not making good choices and decisions, you have to step in no matter how much it hurts. You have an obligation not only to keep your child safe, but to keep someone else's child safe as well. I make my 20-year-old be accountable for almost every minute of his day. I stay in his right, and that's very important because I'm telling you, it matters. I did this with Pookie and Yanni their whole life growing up. I did it with Donald and Shamika. I'm continuing to do it with Sanaya and Samante. I plan on doing it with my grandkids. If your child, let them know it's okay to not feel safe. I wouldn't care if it's a parent, if it's a teacher. If your child has to understand that if they ever feel threatened, to give you a call. And parents, let me tell you right here, right now, get that mindset out of your head, telling your kids if somebody hit them back. My motto for that when Pookie was little is let your child read a book and then you read it back. Because my whole thing is violence only begets more violence. And I definitely understand the approach because my mother raised me that way. If somebody hits you, you hit them back. But kids are using weapons. So let's say your child knows how to defend themselves. They fight back. They win. A child can pick up any type of object, try to harm your child. So my whole thing is I am totally against violence. Like I'm not promoting it in any type of way. I'm not making a post saying free somebody that I know killed someone or robbed someone. I'm not making no post saying free you. I'm not doing any of that. You where you need to be for what you've done. So this is what I mean by I don't promote violence to no extent at all. Like violence is wrong. Like it's totally wrong. And we have to find a way to remove ourselves from violence in order for our community to get better. So if somebody said they want to fight and you like, let them fight. My son got hands. I've witnessed fights growing up. Like my first week at Johnson Junior High School, first week in 7th grade, this boy was fighting, the two boys was fighting, they fight real good. I'm being nosy, I'm watching. I liked a little bit of fight back then. And the shorter boy pulled out an ice pick and started stabbing the boy in the back. I dropped my book bag. I ran all the way home. Like I passed Lee's Supermarket, Wall. I ain't stopping no red lights because I had never witnessed somebody get stabbed. Like you see things on TV, but I mean, to be just watching a fight. And as a kid, all you know is people to fight, punch each other, get knocked down, get back up, and it's over. So for someone to pull out an ice pick and just start stabbing someone your first week in 7th grade, that really let me know back then that life is serious. So you can have a child that knows how to defend themselves, that knows how to fight. But what are they going to do with a weapon? Because the thing about it is, if your child's a bully, people may not even fight them. They may automatically bring a weapon to school. And that's a whole nother situation. Let me read this comment from Christian. I try not to think about something happening to my son because he's so little. I know it would send my mind into another realm and my decision making going to be solely based off the anger because exactly. And that's how most parents is. So with that being said, let's talk about bullies. Not only talking about keeping your child safe, letting them know that if and by all means, make it clear with your child's school. They don't have a cell phone. Ain't no you telling my child they can't call me. I done went off on several teachers, told my kids to go take the phone off the office desk. If your child needs to call you, they should be able to call you. I wouldn't care if it's test taking or whatever. You may have something that you want to communicate with that your child want to communicate with you that they don't want to share with anyone else. So I am definitely on Call your parent. When that child wants to call their parent, allow that child to call their parent. Now my daughter, my youngest daughter, she has like some little bully tendencies, and I'll sometimes say to her, and she does it in the house for fun, but it's still something to speak on. So meaning that she has bully tendencies. So sometimes when she's talking to her friends on the phone for a casual conversation, she'll say things like, "Shut up. Shut up. I want to talk to you." I said, and I have to remind her, you don't talk to people that way because, again, you don't want a child that's a bully. Who wants a child that's a bully? Because, again, that can have somebody so terrified of your child that they can bring a weapon to school, they can bring a weapon to the neighborhood, or just have something on them to protect them from your child. So now your child that know how to fight so good has been hurt because someone else is so scared of them. So if you know that you have a child that's a bully, teach your child to make nice. Teach them how to not joan on people, how to not mess with people, because all those are bullying tactics. Like they don't have to keep joning on someone's shoes until it makes them cry, because once that child starts to cry, what if they take that chair, then go upside your child's head, and now your child needs some stitches like they need some shoes? So make sure that you're understanding that we know our kids. We may not know other people's children, but we know our kids. And they might can't wait till school over. They have to tell you something right at that moment. They may have to tell you right at that moment. So again, I'm asking you if you all have some techniques, because soon my two youngest twins will have to go back into the school, and they're in high school now. So what are some techniques that we all know that we tell our kids to mind their business? But in this day and age, I have witnessed that minding your business is not enough. Like, you can have a child that doesn't bother anybody, and a child can still bother them. So what is the plan that you have in place, parents? Like, I want to hear from you, even down to small children in elementary school. I've heard of situations where minor children have taken weapons to school. What is your conversation? Have you had a conversation with your child around that? And if not, what is that conversation going to look like? And once your child who the bully gets hurt with someone's weapon, the same parent going to act like the bully child is an angel. Exactly. Trouble follows you. They're going to act like their child is an angel. So don't let your child be that bully. Do not let your child be that bully. Like, it's very important that we know that our parenting needs to reflect outside the household. And these kids out here are like mini monsters. People like to say that, oh, kids are they just being a kid. Let me tell you something. I had a friend growing up, and I think he was about 2 years older than me, and he was like my best friend. And he always would go to the drive, have asked us to come on, go to laundromat. So I stopped going with him, because what he would do is he would get a cat, and he would get, the drive was just a quarter back then. He would get a quarter from his mother or his dad, and he would find him a cat, and he always dragged the cat. And he found, and let me see, I think we must have been somewhere between, maybe as young as 10, no more than 13. But he will always dry a cat. Every chance he got, he would find a cat, and he put it in the dryer, and the cat would be screaming, and I would, run out till I got the concept that I'm just not going with him to this laundromat anymore. But sad behold, whether he did it or not, I don't know. He's been locked up for several baddies. So to me, there's nothing normal about drying a cat. So if you have a child that likes to put cats in dryers, because they say that's the first sign of mental health, and people with reckless behavior is cruelty to animals. So if and just thinking back being a young child, like what I would want to ask him today, like what made you dry the cats? Like how do you just wake up in the morning and the first thing come to mind, once I get my bowl of cereal, brush my teeth, and get dressed, I'm gonna put a cat in the dryer? Like did anyone, like, I mean, because communicate back to me, like, do you all see that as normal, or is those the type of things that you all see as just being a kid? Like, is that just being a kid putting a cat in the dryer? You get some kids that would, when we were growing up around Parkland, they would take rocks and throw rocks and knock birds out the sky. I want to hear from you, like, because people just say, oh, that's just being a kid. Like, I feel like some of those behaviors, and y'all know psychology is my passion. I feel like some of those behaviors are there when they're early on. Aunt Kitty, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the type of thing a child dry a cat It's definitely not not normal. And he would just get a cat and put it in the dryer, and and it fulfilled him. So, and that's why you have to be careful about what type of things your kids are into and be honest about it, because the thing of it is, I trust in God, and I feel like behaviors can change, because I was a child that was really rough around the edges. So I feel like people can truly change. Even into my adult years, I was rough around. So I thank God for change. I threw rocks at a bird. Yes, so Christian. So since you sharing that, what made you throw the rocks at the bird? Like, I just want to hear. Like, did the rock hit the bird? I would want to know, did the rock hit the bird, or did you just throw it to, like, I want to hear more. You kicked the pigeon? I thought you were saying I never kicked the pigeon. So you kicked the pigeon? Hurting and killing animals is the first side of serial killing. That's what I think. That's what I think. I remember I had a debate in my criminal law class about parents being charged for a child's crime. And an example used was a kid dropping a bird off a bridge onto a car and going on. Oh my gosh, to live a normal life. Okay. Wow. Okay. Those behaviors aren't normal. Those are signs of mental health. That's what I honestly feel. No, they was on the okay. Study. Okay. Right. So I have witnessed kids do these types of things, and you all know that I worked in group homes for 13 years before coming to DHS. So I've seen a little bit of everything. So that's why when I seen the behaviors that my son had for 13 years before coming to DHS. So I've seen a little bit of everything. So that's why when I seen the behaviors that my son had at the time of our loved ones, and we like saying free Mo, free whoever, we friend. But some people has an institutionalized mindset, and we need to wrap our hands around that, because in order to keep our families and our community safe, that's part of the problem. Whether a child is the leader or the follower, engaging in acts like that is a sign that something is wrong, right? So it was funny for you at the time, right? So we hoping that you're not a serial killer. We hoping that it was just a phase and you got it out, but that to me was really concerning. When I was in residential, it was a lot of kids in there for hurting animals. Yeah, they say that's the first sign. Because why are you a terrorizer? And if you are a follower, why do you follow bad behaviors instead of positive behavior? Right. So, like, because in life there's a choice. And I always wondered about that, like, even with children, like, how do bad kids find bad kids? Like, that's a choice. Like, you don't really see bad kids or kids that's up to something wanting to hang with what we would call back then with nerds. We didn't really see that. I don't look at birds the same as humans. Okay, well, I do. I definitely do. I feel like life is life, so that's a valid point. I feel like life is life. I feel like no one should alter anybody's life. I feel like everybody's life should end when God says so. I don't want anybody helping anybody out, even if it's a bird. And I know, like, sometimes if you caught a mouse in your house, you're gonna kill a mouse. Even when I had my mice at Robinson, I always put them on the trap and put them back out the door. Because for one, I ain't like how they look and all that little croomy little. I ain't like none of that. And I get it, you don't eat humans, but you eat birds. Okay, okay, I guess that's valid. So what about a cat? Do you feel like it was justified putting the cat in the dryer because you don't eat cat? Or I've never ate a bird before that I know of, so maybe you eat turkey and chicken. Okay, so you said I eat a bird. Okay, well that's something definitely. Well, I definitely okay. So I have eaten chicken, so I still don't consider myself as a killer. The chicken was already dead, so but that is a valid point, because some vegetarians feel that that's why they don't eat the cat that is wild, like don't eat. And then I don't know if you all remember about 5 or 10 years ago, it was a couple coming back from their honeymoon, and they were in Woodbridge, Virginia, and someone dropped a brick. A group of kids dropped a brick off the bridge, and they dropped it onto the people coming back from their honeymoon car, caused them to crash. The woman almost died. The man, face was messed up and all of those types of things. So again, that to me is not normal behavior. I know that I've heard people say that they've done things like went down. We won't name who people are, but I've heard people tell me stories that they would go down 8th and H and Wait till they see a white man or somebody coming out 7-Eleven and knock them out. That to me is not normal behavior. But it just lets you know that kids will get into all sorts of things. And the thing that I kind of wrapped my life around for years is because I knew what I was dealing with my youngest two twins, I never let them roam freely. So I never let them roam. I'm just saying to myself today, the culture of hood is demonic, it's poverty, shrink, right? Definitely agree. You have to watch the children your children be around because other people's children expose to things your kid. And niece, I said that a little earlier. It is okay as a parent who provides for their child financially, cell phone, internet, clothes, shoes, to tell your child who their friends are going to be. And when they get grown, they can go back and catch up with those friends. But again, you know that as a parent, that is your right. I'm giving you permission. And I would tell people all the time, my kids was growing up, they didn't have a right to lock a door in my house. You know, I got a little bit better with it and got a little better understanding through life because, you know, sometimes little girls have things going on. But for the most part, you ain't coming in your house, my house, acting like you mad at me, not gonna speak, gonna go straight up to your room and lock your door. We not doing that in Kitty house. Not in Kitty house. And I hope that we ain't gonna do it in Mousy house, Sharon house, Neek house, Johnny house, ain't Kiki house. Ain't no child coming in my house so mad with me. And a lot of times, like when you watch Lifetime movies, I used to watch them a lot. The child not even mad at the parent. They mad about something that came in. So they come in the parent house, they slam the door, and then they go upstairs and they lock their room. Not in here. Not in here. And that's why I never allowed them to pay any bills. I don't need your little $60 towards the cable because you're not doing that in here. Talk about they hate this house. You'll be getting out. Yanni and Pookie had to get out once when they was little. One time I only had to put Pookie and Yanni out once. I think Pookie must have been 7 and Yanni was about 5. She was taking upon herself to get. I let them take all the snacks they want. They always had a suitcase, and I told them go ahead. But I mean, neither one of them went far, and it never happened again because I don't want you to be nowhere you don't want to be. Now with Sanaya and Samantha, they had to be evicted. Donna Shamika never had to be evicted. The Sanaya and Samantha had to be evicted several times. The house didn't do nothing. I was scared to even have an attitude around my mom. Exactly. But to be locking doors because you need to know what's going on. Like, to be honest, we can hardly trust our kids. So please don't trust somebody else's kids. Don't trust nobody, kids. Like, you don't know what people see their children do. I know that my twins had another parent that used to actually let them go in a store and help themselves. Like they were struggling with that demon. So I'm telling you, this is something they're struggling with. So why would you let them go in the store and help themselves? Because they know coming up with me, you take something ain't belong to you, you going back to the security officer, you giving it back, and I'm going to ask the store manager, do they need anything stopped or swept or anything? Because you're going to learn. You don't take nothing that belongs to you because like my grandma would say, if you what they say, if you rob, you steal, and if you steal, you kill. It went something like that. Not someone said that. Why did you say it was you? I said my kids. I got 6, but why did you join in and say it was you? I remember my Barbie suitcase. I packed 3 pairs of drawers and a few outfits and walked to the beginning of the neighborhood. Then I was sent to Baba Jean's house for a week in bed. That's right, and you brought it right on back and act like they didn't know. But what are you teaching your child? So this goes to show that it goes back to what are you teaching your child? What are you teaching your child? So again, this was not my topic for today, but it was so heavy on my heart, so emotional around it. This little cousin was really doing things, boxing, really trying to better himself. Just so sad seeing his mom recently posted a video of her taking him to school. I think it was either yesterday or today. I think it was a day because I think school started back today. For charter school. So just to get that news right before the show, I just felt that it was my obligation to share with you all to pray over your kids coming in and out, put a shield of protection that the enemy cannot penetrate, because it is really, really sad that we send our kids to school and they don't get to make it back home because someone has took in their life. Christian, I'm going to call you once I wrap up tea time. And someone has took in their life. So this little cousin was only 15 years old. I don't even think he was 16 yet. And just to go to school and have your whole life ahead of you and to lose your life like that. And it was a stabbing. It wasn't a shooting. It was a stabbing. So I am going to wrap up a little bit, get myself together a little bit more, and try to go lend my prayers to them. Death is really hard for me. It's always really hard for me. I feel like I don't know what to say. I be feeling like I don't know how to be there because I you know don't it's just, oh my gosh, it's just so sad. So again, thank you all so much for joining in. The two-part series that I have coming next week is going to be really exciting. I wish I could have shared it today, but again, because of the news that I just had, I had to make sure that we're mindful, that we're praying over our kids, that our kids have an escape plan, that if anything is going on at school where they're feeling like they're in fear for their life, even if it's somebody just saying something simple like, I'm going to fight you at 3 o'clock, go pick your child up. Go pick them up and bring them home. Let you know, because your child may not even want to fight. I know half the time I never wanted to fight, but they're going to hear your friends. Oh, Kitty, you going to let her say that? Okay, so then I got to take my jacket off and sit my book bag down. I didn't even want to fight. So go get your child. Fighting is violence. People don't think it, but I truly think it. That's why I don't record fights and things of that nature. Fighting is a form of violence, and violence only begets more violence. Thank you so much for sipping with a sister. Pray for your kids. Let's keep our kids safe, and let's try to stay safe ourselves. And as always, thank you so much for sipping with a sister.